Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to the Navtastic podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandes, and
I'm Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
And we're reviewing the final episode of Season 3 of Laverne and Shirley, Breaking Up and Making Up, Edna and Frank. It was directed by Alan Rafkin and written by Phil Foster, who plays Frank DeFazio, and Marion Zola. But you get some facts about them, don't you, Chris?
I do got some facts about it. So we're going to talk about the writers first. Marion Zola wrote a few episodes of TV in the 1970s, but primarily was a writer of books. She taught English in New York, according to her bio, by the way, on her Goodreads page. She taught English in New York before heading to LA to pursue screenwriting. And she got to co-write this episode along with doing an episode of The Love Boat and one for All in the Family. She's a big advocate for dogs, and she's written and produced the Shelter Me documentary series.
That's nice.
And then, we have Phil Foster on writing. Wait, Pop, is that you? What are you doing writing the scripts? Oh, God. Lisa, the inmates have taken over the prison. You need to sound the alarm.
Hey, that already happened when Michael and David wrote too.
That's true. That's true. No. This is the inmates taking over the prison. That was the loonies running the asylum.
There you go.
But anyway, we'll get to the episode. It's really cute and feelsy, but
yes.
But interestingly, Phil Foster also co-wrote on the same Love Boat episode as Marion Zola before this. And he also wrote one of the Brooklyn short films that he starred in during the 1950s. Brooklyn was a character that he played in kind of a series of shorts and things. I don't know if they were for television. It's kind of hard to find information about it, but it was a project he was active in at that time. He actually will write one more episode for the show, which I don't know if you have any information about to talk about that now, or if you want to wait until that comes up. I think it's another season or two.
We'll hold it. We'll get there. We will get there as the story goes. A phrase.
So finally, this is our last Alan Rafkin episode. As we mentioned, season 3 was pretty much all Rafkin all the time. This was an enormous amount of work that was able to get him some other gigs. It was, great training. Yes. He ended up going on to work on various other projects, including winning an Emmy for One Day at a Time. Yep. He wrote a rather interesting kind of, I would call it an autobiography / tell-all book. In the late 1990s called Q the Bunny on the Rainbow or something like that?
Yes. Yeah.
And which refers to his time as starting out on Captain Kangaroo as a stagehand, it sounds like. So tonight we catch it. So tonight I have this quote from a interview from when he was doing the book tour, for his tell all.
Yes.
He said of Laverne and Shirley, it was one of the most unpleasant series I have ever directed. And he called Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams undisciplined and bratty.
That's a typical review of most of the
And
show.
Of his blunt tone for his autobiography, he responded, "I'm too old and too rich. I don't care. I'm 70 years old." And he did indeed pretty much direct until the end of his days. He passed away about a year or two after this interview. But, it's finally, as we give our last salute to Alan Rafkin, who did some wonderful episodes this past season. We highly recommend watching many of them and also to listen to our coverage of them as well, because we tried to make note of, Rafkin's technique. But he would go on overall through his career, would direct episodes of over 80 different sitcoms, which I have to say is one hell of a prolific career, and he was quite a character. So kudos, Alan. It's good to have you with us.
Well, his review of working the show matches the review of many people who worked on the show. Multiple reviews have said similar things, sadly. Backstage drama, and keep following us from pod to pod. Okay, this is what the episode was about. When Edna's handsome and younger ex-husband Johnny shows up to see her and take her out to dinner, jealousy begins to ferment in Frank. But he tells her she can and should see whoever she wants to see, even though they're going together. They fight, and he soon begins to panic when she actually does go out with Johnny. But he pretends to be aloof in regard to the situation. They soon have another fierce fight, and Edna threatens to break up with Frank over his coldness and lack of respect. The girls play peacemaker by speaking to them individually, then arrange a date between them. Can this relationship be saved? What do you think of this episode?
Oh boy, emotions.
Yeah.
A lot of emotions. Yeah. Of course, it figures, right, that Phil Foster would write probably one of the best, pathos laden Papa Frank episodes for the show. Yeah, it's interesting that I also loved how they wrote Edna for this episode. Defiant. You and I were talking between recordings about how it's like you see the comparison of Edna as the person who understands that relationships come and go, but the ones that matter, stick around. I mean, she's been married. God, was it 6 times, 5 times, 7 times?
Yeah, it was 5 times. 5 times.
That...
In, I think, Honeymoon Hotel was the first time it's mentioned. It was 5 times.
And it's a case where she kind of gets it. She's been around a lot. She's done it all. As Laverne very very foot in mouth put it.
Yep.
And I was just going to comment. Then on the flip side is Frank, who lost the in some respects kind of the love of his life. For a woman who meant a lot to him, even though it was arranged marriage, but it was something that clicked and worked. And he loved Laverne's mother very much. And to think that all these years without really even in many, I mean, he had needs, I'm sure he dated and all that, but, he never found someone as special as Edna to settle down with. And I think it's interesting seeing his insecurity, his jealousy, and, cause it's like, I almost wonder if like he felt like he already had his one perfect shot and he took it and life dealt him a bad hand.
Yeah.
And now he's not sure with this one. So anyway, there's a lot of emotions that are going to come out on this one.
Yeah, we never find out how Laverne's mother died either. We just know that she died when Laverne was a little girl. And even though Penny has said that her mom died while they were still in Brooklyn, she is definitely buried in Milwaukee. So she had to have died when Laverne was around 6 or 5. So that was... So Frank's been single for a long, long time by the time this episode is over. Well, technically single. He's been dating other women. He was dating the girl's upstairs neighbor at one point. So, as we remember from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first serious relationship he has embarked on since Laverne's mom passed away. A lot of it's beautifully written, beautifully thought out. This is the first time Frank gets to have extra layers. Just like Carmine got to have extra layers in the episode prior to this one, Frank gets to grow layers. And you get to see this kind of tough, burly guy who's made his own way and worked hard kind of show his hurt, soft core. In that he has, as you said, took a shot, went into his arranged marriage with this woman, ended up meeting the love of his life, ended up having a kid with her. They were really happy, and then she got taken away from him. So loving again is hard. This is where he takes a shot, and with Edna, it works out, and then season 8.
No.
Anyway.
Oh, God. Season 8 is like one of those, like, you can see the flashing lights 8 blocks away, and it's some horrible accident. You're just gonna see just this carnage that you have to drive by. There's no place you can turn off. It's all this narrow traffic, and it's, oh God. But anyway, what's interesting also about this episode to me is how despite, as much as we're talking about the weight of it and the discussion of it, the character stuff of it, it's a very funny episode.
Yes.
It's despite the kind of awkward, poorly aged dance number at the beginning.
God, has that aged so poorly.
Yep.
For those who haven't watched the episode before, it opens with the performance of Running Bear. Which was a hit in the 50s, I think it was the 50s, by Johnny Preston. It was written by the Big Bopper of all people, J.P. Richardson. The song has not aged well. At all. At all. The girls perform it, dressed as 2 caricatures of Native American people with a feathered headband on each of them. Carmine's wearing buckskin and a coonskin cap like he is Davy Crockett. And it ends with the girls making that horrible stereotypical gesture where people make fun of Native American people, with the hand to the mouth. It ends with that. And of all of the songs that could have stayed extant and intact on the DVD, like the wonderful duet between Betty and Eddie on Personality in The Dentist, this is the number they paid for, and this is the number that's extant on the DVD.
God.
And why, I don't know, but I wish it wasn't there.
Yep. And I mean, this is coming from two people. We like Westerns and things like that, but it's one of these are the types of bits that just kind of make us go, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that goes away after about 90 seconds, about 2 minutes of the episode. And we get to move right into Frank and Edna canoodling, which is what my mom said. She was like, oh, they're canoodling. And
until Edna has to go make sure nobody's using spoons as shoehorns out in the bowling alley.
Yeah. Oh,
until that happens.
God. Yeah, Shirley lecturing about sanitary procedures. Whoa.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. I love that there is a whole miniature subplot about how the girls and Carmine are going to be a musical act. They've been paid $25 to go perform. They apparently have a triumphant night. We see none of it.
Yes.
We see none of it at all.
Yep.
And nobody cares about their triumph at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sad and yet hilarious. And also a tweaking of some of the show's tropes. I appreciated that.
It makes me think that in some ways it's the episode, like, say that these episodes of the show where the studio audience is when the angels come to watch, but it turns out that the angels in heaven coming to watch is the bad luck charm. So whenever the angels are watching, everything goes chaotic, but when they're not watching, they're successful.
Yeah. Without the girls being there, the relationship would be over. Completely over. Frank and Edna's dynamic as a couple is explored here very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And the show does a really good job of that. At least I thought so.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Think so? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, it tackles different ways the two of them have dealt with being in love before, and then facing this scary new relationship, which is right, but could go south at any minute.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. They do a really good job of picking that apart.
Yep. It's also, I find it interesting, there's always challenges in a relationship, and there's the small challenges, the minor annoyances, the moments of patience that kind of sometimes add up a little bit, and can be difficult, and I've seen them and experienced them, and we all do. And then what this episode shows is how does one react to the big ones. And the big ones are not necessarily a major thing, like someone getting a serious illness. Sometimes it's literally just the ex walks in the door and, looking like a bill collector or something. And they, there's that fear, that connection, the jealousy thing, and the, I think what's interesting is that Frank as a person, he's aware of the fact he's not a romantic. He's not a very feely guy. Yeah. He's a rageaholic. He, this is literally a businessman that's throwing his own product that he makes he's throwing it at the door. He's throwing it at people. Yeah. He's smashing beer cans in his hand when he gets mad at his daughter,
Yeah.
And so it's like it's kind of like it's almost like a self-awareness that he becomes so ridiculously insecure. And it's also like the awareness, I think, of Edna, of herself, that I trust me because I know I'm with Frank. I already tried being married to Johnny and it didn't work. And so, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it is. Edna has clearly been through a lot. She has clearly seen and done a lot of things, as Laverne tries to say in a classy and gentle way and kind of fails at. She's been through a lot, and Frank's been through comparatively less than her. And the way he tries to protect himself against the possible hurt is kind of touching in a way. Because mostly we see Frank through the lens of Laverne and how she reacts to him and how he keeps pressuring her for grandchildren and she's not ready for this. He wants those grandkids, damn it. And through the lens of him helping everybody out in the group with money, with jobs, with assistance. This is the first time we see him on his own terms. The first time we see Edna on his own terms. This is the first time we see the two of them through each other's eyes. Yeah. So which I thought was really nice.
Yeah. And it's, like I even just the simplicity of the, I mean, obviously there's the great exchange you get to see them have when they have the fight in the pizza bowl, It's like, I thought I had to check with you.
Yeah.
Well, why? Well, I thought we were sort of going together. Where are we going?
Yeah.
Well, I just assumed you would care. You're over but it's like, you're over 21, way over. And, God, the women reacting in the audience to that, holy cow.
Yeah.
Man, they are eating that up, but also just screaming and howling.
Yep.
And then, as you were saying, getting to see a bit more of Frank, like even the scene, like there's kind of interesting comparative scenes. You have Frank with the boys. The boys are in the girls' apartment watching the swimsuit competition. And then you have the Shirley talking to Edna.
Yes.
And those are really interesting moments. And I love how kind of in some respects on their side, but at the same time, they want to see the two of them work it out.
Yeah. They're trying to reason with her. And Laverne eventually goes to reason with her pop in this apartment. The two of them are just trying to figure out, how to get them back together so they will stop yelling. They do not want their parental figures to fight.
Yep.
At all.
And they don't want to be called pickleheads.
Yeah. I love that line. That, by the way, is an iconic line. David's delivery is incredible. All right, so remember we are pickleheads. We're the best damn pickleheads in the state of Milwaukee. It's just, it's perfect. It's so perfect. There is absolutely no reason for the boys to be in this episode, but I'm glad they are. Just for that line alone.
Yep.
I love the notion that they will not pay for their own television set, even though they're constantly down in the girls' apartment watching their television set when they're out, apparently.
Yeah, they watch a lot of TV, and I am completely unsurprised, especially at the shows that they watch.
Yeah.
Also, who are you rooting for in this year's Miss Dairyland pageant?
Miss Heavy Cream, obviously. Anyway.
God, I love
Squiggy's on for Miss Yogurt and was smooth, apparently.
Yeah. She was smooth. Oh man. But and what's interesting is how it's like Frank's checking up on her and she's very touched, but then, of course his wall comes back up and, he screws it up. It's like, damn it, Frank.
Necessitating more talking.
Yeah.
Necessitating more help coming from the girls.
God. And when they have that argument down there, the girls are proud of their show. They return. And I love the red L. They look so cute in their outfits.
Yeah. I love it. I love that when Edna delivers that killing blow of a line that he still treats me nicer than you do. The way they look at each other. Ooh, the way they look at each other. Whoa.
Yep.
Like a nonverbal, yeah, that's true. You can't say it, but it's true. It's, whoa. No lies detected. No lies detected at all.
Yep. Yeah, it's a... Because you and I even had this conversation about just the other day about, pet names. And it's like, hey, like, that is the worst. Yeah. That's the worst. Yeah, I know. It's my pet name for her. Yep. It's like, dude, put a little effort in there, man. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, this is when he finally comes up with one at the end of the episode. Finally. Finally. I wanted to reel it back to the boys being so hurt that they get called pickleheads. They're both so hurt about this. Even though they don't seem to seek approval from Edna and Frank, they both seem to want to be thought of well by the two of them. They want to be thought of kindly by the two of them. And the fact that they're not is like a big blow. I thought that was sweet.
Yeah. I also wonder if, what does a picklehead mean to them? Like, maybe they just don't like pickles. If they really specifically hate pickles, being called a picklehead,
Yeah.
Because like if to them say the pickle is the thing you throw off of your hamburger, your cheeseburger,
Yeah.
then it's like you are the garbage that gets thrown out. I mean, that's pretty low, in that perspective. They don't obviously Frank didn't mean it that way, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that they don't like to be called. They don't like to be told that they are dumb to their faces.
Yeah.
Even if sometimes they think they are dumb and they know they are dumb, actually hearing it is hurtful, especially from your elders. Yeah, especially from someone you kind of respect in a way.
Yep.
So yeah, that's why they're incredibly hurt by the whole thing. Okay, so I love the line, "That was my cousin." You got proof? I love.
Oh man.
I love that that. Of course, he thinks that, and of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, you're being ridiculous. Stop it. Why are you jealous now?
Right.
And he's just being inconveniently jealous, basically, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how he's processing his emotions.
It's unreasonable jealousy. That's it's where it's like you've gotten on a tear and you're just going with it.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about them fighting this way, and it shows really a lot about the personality of them. And I know I don't want to get too ahead of where we're headed, where we're going, because I know what's coming ahead. But you start to see that the raging loud that's very. And it's not just hot-blooded Italian. It's just a very loud and like when you get mad, and you stay mad for almost like a game as long as you can. I mean,
yeah.
There's this line. I have a note for this. I might bleep this impossibly, but there's that line he says, like, "I know you can't trust them. They're going on dates behind your back." And my line is a paraphrasing quote from Black Dynamite. "Shameless Mr. DeFazio, you done fucked up now." And future me, you can bleep that if necessary. But but the thing is, you have to be a certain type of like runaway train mad to say something that freaking stupid.
Absolutely. Completely. He is out of his head at that point.
Yep.
So then we move on to Shirley and Edna's little conversation while Edna's helping Shirley tailor her dress, which she can't move in, which becomes a plot point later.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Yes.
We'll get to that in a second. Though. I love that she refers to Frank's underwear as panties.
Right.
His little panties and everything.
Yeah. I wouldn't call them his panties. I'd call them circus tents.
Circus tents. Yeah. Circus tents. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Frank's nickname for her is Hay.
Yeah. God. Yeah. I mean, that's still awful. I mean, I love when she gets her confidence up. It reminds me of, I have my note that's, again, like a little reference to Rocko's Modern Life. It's like, "Yeah, Edna. Yeah, Edna."
It's perfect.
Yeah. I'm hoping that comes off as adorable and not pathetic, that I'm still referencing a show that I watched when I was 8 years old.
Everybody talks about the stuff they watched when they were kids. I'm talking about something that I watched when I was a kid.
Wait,
I watched the show when I was tiny, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Comes with the territory.
Yeah. I also, by the way, I love the line delivery of that, Edna's like, "You really do have a knack for helping people." And the casualness and it's a very new Hollywood casualness that is very Cindy, is, it's like, "Nothing." Like, "It's nothing." She doesn't say "it's nothing" or "it's nothing" or "it is nothing." Don't worry about it. It's just nothing. I love that it's nice. I love that.
I love her delivery period. She's just very good at pulling out these little aspects of Shirley.
Yeah.
It always works.
Yep.
Yeah.
A quick thing I want to mention, by the way, before I forget about this scene with Edna and Shirley is was I mistaken, or was there some dollying and panning work when they kind of come around onto Shirley on this shot and these scenes?
No, definitely.
I was impressed. There's a little bit of a crane movement when it follows Edna as she goes to the door. I was like, whoa, they actually had some camera movement. It's nice.
Yeah, it worked out very nicely. Then the boys come in. And
yeah, I'm pinned in here. Can someone get me out of this dress?
Somebody get this dress off of me. Hello.
Looks like a job for a couple of pickle heads.
Yeah. that is a great entrance line for the two of them. It's probably the perviest entrance line they get. No, actually, there's a really great one. One of my favorite ones is coming up next season. The first few episodes. But that's a pretty good entrance line for the two of them, and God, the implication of her not being able to move, and the two of them getting that dress up.
God, poor Cheryl. Yeah.
I loved the way that Laverne and Frank try to bond, and how they try to talk about their problems and the situation. I love that she tries to get him to open up by playing baseball with them.
Right. Yeah. Just try to play a little catch. Little catch. Like, oh, you're not playing with me. Okay.
Yeah. And then he just starts talking about what he considers equal real womanhood. What he considers, in his opinion, we're going to say his opinion heavily and stress this heavily, his opinion of what a real wife does. We find out Laverne's mom used to wake up at 5 in the morning to make sauce. And Laverne's like, she wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Yep.
Sauce comes in cans now.
Yeah. Mama was Mama and Edna's Edna, and sauce comes in cans now.
That's such a beautiful line. That's such a great line.
And I love Frank. It's such Frank. You know, the way this. It's a very natural response. It's like if he was married.
Yeah.
If he was married, you wouldn't have to get up at 5 o'clock. I get up at 5 o'clock. I do everything.
I'd make the sauce. You can kind of picture that.
Yeah.
You can 100% picture that.
Oh, totally. And my mom got a big laugh at the the moment when it's like, if I was married, my husband, what I want my husband to be Italian.
Yeah, that.
Oh man.
She has to explain to her pop that romance is important. Maybe be a little romantic.
Yep.
Just a tiny bit romantic. Just a little romantic sauce.
Yep.
Yeah.
I still, this is something that, is kind of unique about me. And this kind of comes from my dad, the way with my father is with my mother. And part of this is just about, and it's weird. I learned it. I was kind of pushed to unlearn it. I'm going to relearn it, etc.
Yeah.
I love being romantic. It always boggles me when I see men that don't want to be romantic with the women they love. It's like, they're special. Yes, I know I fall for the trap of pedestaling. As Lisa, you well know now. But
now I like it, so hey.
But it's a case though of where those things matter, because it's the same thing of like what I like. There's a sweetness and a kindness when you do something special, and the flowers are like the idea of it. That's the basic idea of it. But the point is the meaning, that I thought of you and so I brought you something, or these flowers, I did this effort. I made this effort, for the thought that he used to pick flowers for Laverne's mother, for his wife, that's a sign. And for him to have done that, and that was where I began to realize, wow, this, and then how it turns into then you buy flowers, then it becomes about money, and it realizes that's the wall of cynicism, and that's the wall of grief that he surrounds himself with. It's almost in many ways like the whole business of the pizza bowl was kind of, that's been his shield from the fact that he probably never really got over what happened.
Yeah. So he's completely buried himself in his work, devoted himself to Laverne's business, and trying to fix her up with that guy so she'll get married and he'll have grandkids to fill up his life. Mm-hmm. So now you can see why he is the way he is. Beautiful character work. Beautiful building to the character. It's perfect. It's really perfect. You gotta give Phil Foster credit for knowing who his character is.
Yep.
And just going for it.
Yep.
You saw the same thing with Michael and David ready for Lenny and Squiggy.
Yep.
Knowing who they are and how they feel about things and how they react to things.
Yeah. The stories I often hear about good long form media and the way they play with characters, and you and I have heard so many stories about this. I'm sure all of our listeners out there have heard this as well, about like Bob's Burgers or Futurama and all these different shows, other cartoons or other sitcoms. I'm trying to think of, even like the way they would make certain insistences, like they insist on a certain type of dress or certain type of, I'm thinking like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and like how there was a certain
Yeah.
element that those actors defined their characters. And I feel like here's another example of how when given this opportunity, these actors, David and Michael in one example, Phil in this example, they find ways to really bring these characters alive. One of the things I actually love is how Phil gave himself the room, and I'm curious how much him and Rafkin got to work with this, where there's some very subtle acting that Phil gives, especially in the way he quietly responds when Edna gives him the business and slams the door. That subtle acting and emotion. And it's I jokingly facetiously say, somebody was paying attention to those 70s Cassavetes movies. But but at the same time, but I am speaking legitimately that, there are those little touches and the emotions, like how he kind of knows the answer when he cries out, "What does she give me?" And Laverne, says she keeps her from getting lonely, Pop. And
that's a beautiful line.
And it's that awareness, and as we were saying, like it's like he is determined to stay indignant.
Yeah. He's not gonna be the one to give in and be soft.
Right.
He is not gonna be the one to be tender. She has to be tender first, and then he meant to be tender. Damn it. That's the ultimate Frank DeFazio move. That kind of takes us to the last scene. Well, kind of last scene, the end of the episode, where the girls have Carmine bring in a piano. They borrow a dress from Uncle Elliot's Whack Museum, but too squiggy. Sort of everybody is teaming up in their own way so that they can create a nice evening for Frank and Edna so that they will get back together. Okay. Laverne's cooking, Shirley's singing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sweet. If you really think about it, it's really sweet.
Yep.
Everybody's just kind of pitching in their way.
Yeah. Oh, and I love Carmine's reaction to the dress. The audience likes it.
Yeah.
As do I. I love that green dress. That is gorgeous. She wears it beautifully. I wanted to, was it Go Out With Me Friday night?
Yeah. Wear that dress forever if you want. I love that dress.
You're gonna look silly bowling in
it. Yeah. I can't bowl.
Can't bowl in this dress.
Can't bowl, period. That whole exchange.
Yeah, my mom got a laughing whoa out of that line. You can't bowl anyway.
And that's been established. That's been fully established by earlier canon that Shirley cannot bowl to save her life.
Yep.
She is once again trying to be more athletic than she actually is. But she's trying. She's trying, poor girl.
Yep.
Laverne making her signature meal, her only meal that she knows how to make, which is lasagna.
Mm-hmm.
For the family. Everything about this scene is great because they are trying so hard. Cindy sings beautifully, by the way, in this particular episode. She has her little musical number.
Yeah, you mentioned that, she actually was the one that put in the work for the singing lessons, and damn, does that show.
Yes. Yep. She's the one who did vocal training. Mm-hmm. She gets to sing again in season 6 for Sing, 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 which we're going to get to eventually and have feelings about and enjoy. Makes sense. The costumes for Betty Garrett are beautiful in this episode. I wanted to specifically mention that. She looks so nice. She looks gorgeous in this episode. So specific shout out to the costume folks. The whole costume team, the whole wardrobe department.
Yeah.
Good work.
And by the way, can I check your hat, sir?
I love that Frank tries. He comes in his suit. He's there with his anachronistic box of Whitman's chocolates, which are clearly 70s Whitman's chocolates.
Oh God, my dad still has. My dad does low carb, so he has the sugar free, but he still has gets the Whitman sampler packs for those. So seeing that box is like, oh, that's familiar. They still do that design for the sugar free ones.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They have them. That's the exact same design that is still on the box that they sell in stores to this day for the regular samplers. The chocolate is still not incredibly impressive. My grandmother loved it. My mother loved it.
Oh man, that's a good chocolate diss. I love it. We're suddenly turning into a food podcast.
I'm a chocolate connoisseur. I love. I have a complex chocolate palate. I like Hershey's. That's fine. Godiva's really good. They got a lot of little small batch brands that do great work.
Yeah, I'm Yeah, I'm a Moonstruck guy myself.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. Actually, I've tried them before.
Yeah, and we actually have a Bernard's Chocolatier in Lake Oswego. It's
Ooh.
probably dead now because of the freaking pandemic. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's a bit back on track. Sorry. I did want to point. I did want to,
Yes.
Lisa. I wanted to point out your great little Mystery Science Theater style riff. Frank DeFazio is Dudley Moore.
Yes. That's exactly what I said when we watched the episode the first time together. He looked exactly like Dudley Moore and Arthur.
Yep.
I have no idea why the bowler hat. Oh, it's a hilarious little moment.
Yep.
I love, and of course, naturally, the date sends into chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to sing louder to cover the chaos. The chaos keeps happening until finally, Edna and Frank hash it out. Finally. And Frank gets a couple of really nice lines.
Mm-hmm.
You want romance? Cesar Romero.
Yeah. Roman Man Susan Marrow. Yeah. And yeah, that's a good one. I love the Italian wine goes in Italian body when he's talking about the red wine.
Yeah, it's really funny. And of course, for me, the topper is the love confession. I love you, and that's that.
And that's that. What did you say?
It's so frank. Yeah.
It's like Cesar Romero before that, and that's that. No, after Cesar Romero, before that's that.
Yeah. Which is so perfectly the two of them, so perfectly frank.
Yeah.
That's how you get confessions out of him.
Yeah.
So sweet. Sweet in its way.
I also was going to comment that I love the if I don't mean it, I don't say it. That's a really good way of knowing. There's some, it's interesting. I'm not a. It's weird. I think sometimes too much what people say at face value, but at the same time, I have difficulties accepting the positive things people say, which is interesting because there are some people that I know that's like, they don't say it if they don't mean it. And so you have to, and it's kind of the way sometimes a little hard to believe him, but the way Phil delivers that line and how consistent he's been with that character through the show.
Yeah.
He's made sure that everything he says, he means it. It's delivered like that.
Yep.
And the intimate, gentle little kiss of when they make up is one of the sweetest things ever.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, just Betty pours everything, and Phil just adds all these subtle, tortured nuances through it. It's magnificent.
Yeah. It's so sweet. It's so good. It's satisfying, and it's tender and wonderful. Kudos on the acting. Kudos. Writing, perfect. But
before we get too far along and we get, to wrapping up on everything, I also want to point out something I love in The Date. I love how Laverne and Shirley are super in each other's corner. There are two exchanges. There's one towards the beginning of The Date, which is, you look beautiful. Thank you. You look cute, which is super sweet. It's like this pair against an obstacle that's kind of real. And there's this kind of this energy, like, because in this relationship, they're the kids and they're trying to get mommy and daddy back together, and this is them being like very much like sisters. You even have I love this the delivery. You think it was my song, and Laverne suddenly goes, "You were wonderful."
Yes,
it's
that was so fabulous. She's so fierce about it. You're wonderful.
Exactly.
It's so good. So sisterhood. So best friends. I will not let you think you were bored. You were so good. I love that. Oh, it's fabulous.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So so I mean all together, how do you feel about this episode?
This is about a 7.8 for me. My biggest problem with the episode is that maybe it's a little tiny bit disjointed with the girls' mini plot. And it almost didn't need to exist, the idea of them going off, as much as I think is hilarious and doing that gig. But on the other hand, everything else is so perfectly honed in on Edna and Frank. And the two of them grow as characters, and the relationship grows, becomes more intimate, becomes sweeter. It works. The episode works. It works as a character drama. It's got a lot of funny bits. The girls are almost beside the point in this episode. And for an episode, this is their show. For an episode that's not about them, it's a really good episode.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Where are you on this one?
Yeah, I feel very much the same. I feel, yeah, I put it at about a pretty much a solid 7.
Yeah.
It's a maybe just 7.5, at highest. It's a there's some wonderfully genuine human moments in this that really appealed to me. And as you point out, that this is one of those episodes where they're not essential to the story, and there's a few that are like that, where the girls basically are in some ways catalysts in making that particular episode a story about someone else. And this does it really well. It's very interesting they end this season on this, but at the same time, it also sort of solidifies the sense of family. And and it's and it's one of those, I think, if you were going to excise the girls going on their trip with Carmine and that whole business and the song and dance number at the beginning and etc., where would you fill in the space? I would fill it in with the boys, would be where I would fill it in. And
this is a very late on the boys episode,
right? And it would be because then they would become in some respects part of the family. And I feel like that's something I want to see more of, is to see that element of where the boys are kind of like the goofy cousins, the girls are like sisters, and then Frank and Edna are mom and dad. That's because that's a dynamic that's been developing through this whole season. That's gone really well, and we've seen the crew's handled it really well. I remember you mentioning that this is very much a found family show, which that's my jam. So I'm very into that, and this is. I think it was kind of cool they ended on that note. It just was interesting. It was ending it on that note with Frank and Edna, the matriarch and patriarch of that unit, being the conclusion. But yeah, I greatly enjoyed it, and God, we have done so many episodes so far. And to think it's 3 seasons in. We have 5 more to go.
Yeah, we are not quite at the halfway mark. We're going to be at the halfway mark when we hit season 4. Yeah, we're going to see the boys sort of become more integrated part of the family as time goes on. It really kind of sinks in around season 6, when they all have to band together against the wicked world that is California. But I've always thought it was a shame that the boys never really got to bond more with Edna and Frank. They're more of a nuisance to them because they will not pay their tabs. They will not pay their debts, and thus that's how they look at them, these 2 leeches that mulch off of everything. That's what I see them. Yeah, I kind of wanted more of that too.
Yeah.
But we'll see how you feel as we get deeper into Kingdom.
Yeah.
See how you feel about it.
We will see. Yeah. But anyways, I mean, I have to say, so overall, season 3, I will say one thing. I'm looking forward to season 3 and doing the top 5 episodes for this year, because this was a lot of really strong ones. Season 2 was amazing. And I, in some respects, wonder when I really go back, I wonder if season 3 is going to be considered better, because it's so freaking good.
Season 4 kind of hits a peak. Season 5 too.
Man,
we'll get there. We'll get there. Season 6 is pretty good too. Yeah, we'll get there. That's the ultimate slogan of this show. We'll get there. This is definitely a strong season. Yeah, it's got a lot of strong episodes. A Debutante Ball, all-time classic. There's a lot of beautiful, funny, excellent episodes that need to be seen in this season, rather. That need to be watched. Watch this season. If you have to buy only one DVD set, I'd probably say 2, 4, or 2, 5, 4, or 3 would be your ultimate purchase.
So 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4.
In numerical order.
Or out of order. In correct numerical order, yes. But this is a darn strong season. I mean, they began to take the girls in a very physical direction. 2 established it. 3 continues it. 4, we get to really strong stunt work. There's a lot of great, memorable episodes in the season. We get some really sweet, tender, heartbreaking moments, and really out there physical comedy. And that's the 2 extremes of Laverne and Shirley, and that's what the season embodies, so it is a darn good overall season. It's really, honestly, very good. So yeah,
cool.
My thoughts.
I can dig that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess if that's all for today, I mean that is all for today, right? Am I forgetting something? Oh my gosh! I gotta check my notes here. It's okay. I think the notes say it's okay. That's it for today. All right. Anyway, so thank you again, everybody, so much for joining us, especially those of you who've been with us through these first 3 seasons, and we'll hope we'll have you around for a lot more in the future. And if you would like to know more, please join us on social media. We can be found at Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, or at Night After Night PC on Twitter. If you would like to join us for, we've got, special threads and a little promotion type stuff and clips and pictures and animated GIFs and all that great, crazy stuff and everything. So, Lisa, what, pray tell, as we go into season 4, we're going to be dealing with next?
It's another 2-part episode. The gang goes to Brooklyn to meet Laverne's grandmother, and it's called The Festival.
Cool, it sounds very festive. I think I'm stuck. Oh, goodness gracious, I'm stuck in Zap mode. Hopefully, by the time we get there, I won't be talking like this. All right, well, thanks, everybody, and, poopsie.